السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. مزامير القربة أو الباك بايبس الاسكتلندية آلة موسيقية مرادفة للموسيقى التقليدية في اسكتلندا. آلة موسيقية فريدة من نوعها في العالم وحاضرة في الألباب عالميا. مزامير القربة أو الباك بايبس والموسيقى التقليدية في اسكتلندا من الداخل. معكم زينب صفار، تابعونا. هي الآلة الموسيقية الوحيدة التي بنغماتها التعبوية والثورية حظر استعمالها في الحرب لاعتبارها سلاحا حربيا. هي مزمار القربة أو الباك بايبس بالإنكليزية. وفي كتاب مزمار القربة تاريخ آلة موسيقية يذكر الكاتب فرانسيس كولينسون أن محكمة إنجليزية أصدرت عام 1746 الحكم التالي: إن فرقة جنود المرتفعات الاسكتلندية لا تسير مطلقا دون عازف مزمار القربة، لذلك تعد هذه الآلة في نظر القانون آلة حرب. هذه الآلة الموسيقية الأكثر شعبية التي تستخدم عادة في الفرق الموسيقية العسكرية والكشفية والاحتفالات والمهرجانات يرجع تاريخها إلى آلاف السنين، وتعد إحدى أقدم الآلات التي لا تزال قيد الاستعمال. وقد تضاربت المعلومات بشأن أصل هذه الآلة، ولكن معظم الآراء ترجح أنها نشأت في منطقة الشرق الأوسط أو آسيا الوسطى، وبالتحديد في بلاد ما بين النهرين ومصر القديمة. ففي هاتين المنطقتين اكتشفت آلات مزمار بدائية يعدها العلماء من أسلاف مزمار القربة الحديثة. ويعتقد بأن الرومان هم من أدخل مزمار القربة إلى بريطانيا، ومنها راجت في القارة الأوروبية بأكملها، وتحولت إلى الآلة الموسيقية الأكثر شعبية. ومع الأيام ارتبطت هذه الآلة بالموسيقى الشعبية الاسكتلندية، كما تجدر الإشارة إلى أن مزمار قربة المرتفعات الاسكتلندية في شكله المعروف اليوم لا يكاد عمره يتجاوز 300 عام. مدير أكاديمية مزامير القربة التي تعد الأقدم في تدريس هذه الآلة الموسيقية في مدينة غلاسكو الاسكتلندية، السيد روبرت كوالوس، كيف يصف تفاعل جيل اليوم مع مزمار القربة وما مدى تأثر وتأثير الموسيقى الاسكتلندية في الأنواع الموسيقية الأخرى. Mr. Robert Wallace, Principal of the Piping College in Glasgow, Scotland. Welcome to the Inside, sir.
Delighted to be here.
We're happy, our pleasure. And also I would like to seize the moment to thank Mr. Willie Park for the lovely and awesome pipe tunes, and he's the manager of this college and a professional piper. To start, sir, what can you tell us about the history of the bagpipes, which is a musical instrument that has long bewildered the people worldwide?
Yes, well, the instrument started in the Highlands of Scotland, in the mountainous regions of Scotland. And like all mountainous areas of the country, hundreds of years ago, there would be tribes living in different parts of the mountains. We call them clans. It's a clan. And each of these clans would have their traditions. And most of these peoples were Celtic peoples who may in fact have come from the Middle East at one time, many hundreds of years ago, travelled through the Mediterranean and up the western seaboard of Europe and landed in Brittany, well not so much in Brittany, in Ireland and in Scotland. And these people were very musical people, very artistic people. You can still see it in the carvings and in the artwork that they have done and left us, but they were also very musical in as much that they had many songs and many tunes and melodies that they had and were associated with their particular tribe or their clan.
But why just in Scotland? I mean, the bagpipes is a musical instrument that has been also identified with other cultures, but you always try to link the pipes with Scotland, the Scotland Highlands.
Yes, because there were pipes all over the world. And there were all over the Middle East and in Asia and in Europe. There were bagpipes everywhere. The principle of having the air in the bag so that you can take a breath and keep playing. This was a principle that was universal. But in Scotland, they were particularly talented in music, these people in these clans, and they wrote the music for the instrument. So there were hundreds of tunes for the instrument. And as a result, the instrument survived when the other bagpipes died out, because they were influenced by other melodies and they only had a few notes, 9 notes on the chanter, and they couldn't play these other melodies, so people say the accordion or the piano or the violin. But in Scotland, we had the music that meant the instrument would survive. And that's why today the preeminent instrument, bagpipe, in the world is the Highland bagpipe of Scotland.
Is it this pipe or the instrument which is with the other 3 pipes?
What Mr. Park played was the full instrument. This is the practice pipe. So you practice on this so that you do not annoy the neighbours.
Why don't we would like to annoy the neighbours and the audience with the tune from Mr. Wallace.
Well, here's the scale of the chanter firstly. It's called a practice chanter, it's called.
Yes. Yes, do, re, mi, fa, sol, yes.
So it's only 9 notes, but the music is pentatonic. In other words, it's 5-note scales. So you get very, very great deal of variety in these 5-note scales. Now, the pentatonic scale is common to people all over the world. In the Middle East, in your music, you will have pentatonic scales and modal harmonies and modal changes in the scales. Now, that's why the instrument is instantly attractive to people all over the world, because they don't see it as Scottish, they see it as their own, and it's very much linked into the music of people all over the world.
Now, today, how popular is the pipes in Scotland?
Well,
and it actually in its various genres.
Well, it's very popular indeed. I mean, we're having it taught in the schools here, which didn't happen many years ago. The college here pioneered and fought with the politicians to get the instrument taught in our schools in Scotland, and that's been successful. And as a result, the instrument, whereas previously it was a source of much fun and jokes, and comedians would make full of the instrument, now it's got a respectability that before it didn't have. And that's because the young people don't see it as something to make full of, they see it as something to be proud of.
Now, as the principal of the Piping College, where we are now, and which is like 70 years, almost 70 years old, what can you tell us about this college? Why this College of Piping?
Well, the College of Piping...
Is it because, you know, the government is not doing something regarding the teaching of piping?
Yes, well, we survived with no money from the government. The college here started in 1944 during the Second World War, and it was as a charity to provide teaching in the national instrument for anyone who wanted to learn the instrument. And there were 2 individuals who started the school, and they taught boys and girls for free because they wanted to pass on the history of the instrument so that it didn't die out. And the college is, because of the goodwill for the instrument all over the world, in America and Canada, and Scots have gone all over the world, as have the Lebanese people, of course. And as a result, they supported our music and helped us build this college.
Right. Now, tell me, what type of people come to this college?
Well, we have people from all over. We have had people from the Middle East, from Libya and Tunisia, from Canada and the US, from France and Germany, South America, Mexico.
What age group
all
is
ages,
interested?
All ages. We
all
have
ages.
Small children to old people like me, and they come here because they love the instrument. Oh, they go,
yes.
Let
me ask you here something medical. To what extent does playing the pipes affect the respiratory tract?
It's the most healthy instrument in the world.
Yes, because it makes you practice You know,
yes,
taking a deep breath, inhaling and exhaling.
And the aerobic exercise is fantastic for your upper body. And it's very, very good for teaching you to breathe and control your breathing. You know, in yoga,
it's all about breathing.
Deep breathing. Well, for the bagpipe, you must control your breathing as well, because you produce the tone of the instrument with your breath and the control of your muscles. So that produces the good quality sound. So you must have good control.
Now, tell me please, sir, what mood of music does the pipes come hand in hand with? Like, does it come hand in hand with sad music, national music, which is associated with the military marching, or dance music?
The wonderful thing about the bagpipe, it can play all of that. For a sad tune, we have Amazing Grace. Which you hear all the time for funerals and that sort of thing. And for the military, you have Scotland the Brave. And then for dancing, we have so we have happy tunes and sad tunes and all sorts of different, very, very huge repertoire of various tunes. And that's why the instrument has done so well.
Yes. Now, Mr. Wallace, many traditional forms of music worldwide lost popularity to pop music. Yet, Scotland is still known for its traditional music.
Yes.
How come?
Well, firstly, there is a very strong competition element. We have pipe bands and we have solo piping. So young people like to compete against one another to see who is the best. Then we have films like Braveheart and popular...
he's also a Wallace.
Yes, he's a Wallace. Not Mel Gibson. But so you have this, the films have helped. Recently there have been a number of films about Scotland that have helped us promote the instrument. There's a strong, very strong undercurrent of knowledge. And it's wonderful music as well. And I know the young people like to do pop music. There are some groups do pop music and they have combined the bagpipe with the pop music. And so in that respect, the young people have they don't feel it's something old people do. They think it's something young. So the pop groups that use bagpipes in their music have helped in a way. And then I hope that they will learn the real music and forget the pop music.
Right, Mr. Robert Wallace and the Scottish traditional music, we're going to be back, but after the break, to talk more about certain issues and peculiarities of the bagpipe and the Scottish traditional music, sir. إذن فاصل قصير ونعود. ابقوا معنا. مدير أكاديمية مزامير القربة في مدينة غلاسكو الاسكتلندية السيد روبرت والاس كيف يرى اهتمام الجيل الجديد بهذه الآلة الموسيقية وتفاعله معها، وما مدى نجاحه في المزج بين موسيقى البوب ومزامير القربة في اسكتلندا.
Well, if the parents have done it, if they see their friends in a pipe band, they want to join the band because they go on trips to different places. And if you play the bagpipe, there's doors open to you all over the world, you know, because it's such a popular instrument. So if you get a young kid comes in and plays in the band and goes on a trip and suddenly everybody goes, whoa, then he says, oh, I want to join the band. Or they see the band going down the street and the crowds are all cheering. And the kids say, oh, I want to be in that, you know. So it's a very powerful thing. It's a loud instrument and they get dressed up as well. So they like to be dressed up and be part of something. And then if they go in for a competition and they win the competition.
We will talk more about this competition and how important is it. But do we have women pipers?
Oh yes, we have many good women pipers now. More so now than before. Because the instrument today...
But not so popular, it seems, because we haven't seen a lot.
Well, not so much. More men still, and more boys and more men than women. But there are many more now than there used to be. Because before, for the bag, it used to be a sheep. The bag was a sheep. And it had to have sugar and honey to make it airtight. And it becomes very heavy. And the instrument before was much more difficult to manage. Today, we have Gore-Tex and light materials for the instrument. So for ladies, it's much easier to manage. And with the better materials, more ladies than ever are playing the bagpipes. So in some schools, it's maybe 50-50 now, boys and girls.
Now, how far has the music of Scotland influenced other forms of music around the world?
Well, I think that if you take some of our great melodies, they've been used by by composers and developed into symphonies, and they say great composers like Mendelssohn and people like that used melodies from Scotland. And we have famous composers in Scotland today like Edward Maguire and James Macmillan, who've all been influenced by the music of the pipes. But what's most important, if you want something to sound Scottish, then you must use the bagpipes or the scales of the bagpipes, because that's what instantly gives it this Scottish sound. So if you're a composer or a pop star working in Scotland and you're playing a guitar, you try to get the drone sound on the guitar or on the violin, so you're imitating the instrument. So the influence of the bagpipe is all pervasive. It's in all instruments. Anyone who wishes to have a Scottish sound will base it on the bagpipe.
How far as you know, is the Scottish music or traditional music well known or popular outside the borders of Scotland and the UK?
Well, it's very popular. I mean, we have pipe bands in Uruguay, in South America. You would never have believed that, would you? But also all over the Middle East, we have bands in Libya and Tunisia. And I myself was in East Jerusalem, and we played for some Palestinian pipers, and we sent over some reeds to them from here. It was many years ago, in 1991, I think it was, I was over there. And there are many... all over the world there are pipers. There are thousands of pipers in Brazil. There's a Highland Games in Brazil and South America. It's hard to believe.
So it's very popular also across Latin America.
Across Latin America and in South Africa, in Australia, New Zealand. But more than anything, Scots people have gone abroad to work and emigrated to these countries, and when they go, they take their music with them. Like all people, you know, Italian people take their pizza to wherever.
Yes, true.
To Beirut.
Yes.
And
we take the tabbouleh and the kibbe.
Yeah, well, okay, and we take the bagpipes. So, and also with the British Empire as well, there were Scottish regiments in many, many countries, and people learned the instrument and they taught the instrument there in the countries that they went to. So this is why it's... But the main reason why is because the excellence of the music. If the music wasn't good, it would never be successful.
Now, you were speaking about the bagpipe competitions. What are these competitions, and how common are they in Scotland?
Well, very common. I'll be judging on Saturday at a professional competition. It's the main platform that we have for the pipe, is the competition platform, because they were always competitive. The clans were always competitive. One wanted to beat the other. Not militarily necessarily, but always in who was the best piper. And that tradition continues to this day. And we have two branches. One is for solo individuals and the other is for bands. The band season runs from May to September, the summer months, and it's very popular. We have thousands come to Glasgow every year for the World Pipe Band Championships. The solo season goes on all year round, And there are various levels of competition for professional pipers, then to intermediate, then to beginner level, and then for children.
Right. Now, vocal music is also a sort or a type of the traditional Scottish music, and there are ballads and laments, and either sung by lone singers or accompanied by the bagpipes. Now, how popular is this type of music? Where is it popular, and on which occasions?
Well, we have many folk festivals, we have many folk traditional meetings and gatherings, and we have the big Gaelic festival. Gaelic is the language that's spoken in the north and west of Scotland. And next week we have what is called the National Mod, and this is a festival of Gaelic singing and music and poetry. And at these events you'll see, maybe not so much in the competitions, maybe in the bar afterwards, you will see people playing smaller sets of pipes, because you can't play the big pipes with singing. But we have smaller instruments that sound like this, and you can accompany the singer. But the important point here is to remember that the singing and the bagpiping are linked together. Because if I have to teach you Amazing Grace, I will sing Amazing Grace, da dee da, dee dee da dee, dee da do, da da, and then you would play it on the chanter. And this way you impart the music. So the singing and the pipes
are interlinked.
Yes, of course.
Allow me, sir, here to ask you something. You talked about how the songs go hand in hand with the music. What about the dancing and the folk dancing?
Yes, of course, that's the same, because I played your tune earlier on. Well, that's a famous tune called The High Road to Linton, and it's a reel. And a reel is a style of Scottish dance where people get together and they'll have certain steps on the... I won't do it just now because I'm not very good at dancing. And so there are a number of dances. There's also the Highland Fling. And that's 4 beats in the bar, very Scottish. Very and that's designed to get the dancers' feet off the floor. You see,
Right. Mr. Robert Wallace, Principal of the Piping College in Scotland in Glasgow, many thanks indeed for this unique interview, sir.
Well, I'm delighted that you chose to come to the college, and thank you very much.
It's our pleasure, sir.
Thank you very much.
إذا لقاء جديد في الأسبوع المقبل مع ضيف جديد وقضية جديدة، ودائما من الداخل. للمزيد من التواصل بريدنا theinside@almayadeen.net. من كل فريق عمل من الداخل، من كل الميادين من اسكتلندا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.